everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Myself and my lovely Ultra Rosa monster. Debate with me, argue with me. I think this could be the best monster flavour on planet Earth. We're going to chat through some stuff about prep and whether you're actually ready to go into prep or whether it's actually for you in a sense. It's a little bit of a different video than what I usually do, but you guys see me training all the time. I want to change things up and give a little bit more value through YouTube, reach a wider audience, because I speak about this stuff on my Instagram quite a lot, but there might be some people that don't follow me on there that see this on here. Anyone that in future, searches up about bodybuilding prep, how do I know if I'm ready to prep, they might come across this video. So this is going to be a brutally honest video on whether you are ready to prep or not. Now, I don't want this video to come across as some fear-mongering video of you're not ready for a bodybuilding prep and, when will you ever be ready if all these things aren't perfectly aligned and the stars aren't aligned. Not at all. But I do want to put out there that, again, there is some basics and some foundations that you need to have set in place. So I've got 8 main points written down here that we'll go through. And the first one is if you actually have enough muscle. Now, I understand that there'll be quite a lot of younger people watching my content, teenagers possibly, who have seen me competing back in 2023 as a teenager and think, fuck, I want to do that. Now, what you need to understand, by that point, I had been training for quite some time. I've been training since I was 15, 16 years old, and I was competing when I was very late end of 18 years old and start of 19 years old. Now, this is also quite a short period of time. Sorry, we've got little princess down here. I'd show her. Princess is our 16-year-old Westie. She's leaning on the tripod and hoping she doesn't knock it over. But as I say, that's quite a short period of time in general. It's just I get lean quite easily, and I knew that detail would be there. When I started prep, I didn't honestly know whether I was ready for it or not, but I had a good coach behind me, and still do have a good coach behind me. Finn, my coach, my friend, business partner, and he was like, fuck it, we're going to go for it. And he was like, you enjoy this shit, you want to do it, so let's do it. We'll see how we get on. But I had built up some good foundations. I was lifting some pretty good numbers in the gym. I had a good amount of muscle, and we could see that potential was there. Make sure that you are in a position to prep. Do you have enough muscle to get in stage condition? Do you have enough muscle maturity to actually keep that muscle throughout prep? Do you have a good enough understanding on your nutrition, your training, so on and so forth, because you've spent enough time doing this? Make sure that you've actually spent time doing it, because if you've not, and if you've not spent years going through the process and enjoying it, you're probably going to get a shock. You need to have spent time doing that and understanding, fuck, I actually really do enjoy doing this over a long period of time. It's not just a phase in a sense, and I really want to commit to this. So make sure that you actually do have enough muscle for it, first of all. As I say, enjoyment of the bodybuilding lifestyle and process is massive. I can't emphasize this enough. It's probably the biggest point on here. If you didn't have the stage to go on, would you actually continue doing this stuff? Are you only training because you want to look good on stage and want to get some cool photos and get other people going, fucking hell, look, he competed, that's cool. You need to make sure that you enjoy the process of bodybuilding, building your body. The eating, training, the sleep, the recovery, the not going out as much, not eating meals out as much, not socializing as much. I'm not saying that you can't socialize, of course not, but having that little bit more of an isolated, monotonous routine, do you actually enjoy that? If you don't, then it may not be for you. So make sure that you find fulfillment within that process and make sure that that's what you have genuine passion for. I'm not saying every single session I go into the gym, I'm thinking, oh, I'm buzzing to do this. Of course not. Not everyone, and no one realistically has motivation for every single session, every single day they wake up. But I love going into the gym. I love pushing my numbers, and I've been doing it for 6 years, and I still massively enjoy that. So make sure that you do have that enjoyment already, because prep is definitely going to test that, especially with your training. Yeah, as I say there, do you actually enjoy bodybuilding? Make sure that you enjoy the process of doing so. And would you still do it without the bodybuilding stage being a thing? I do still do it without really thinking about competing. I said this to Finn myself, literally in my last check-in. It's like, sometimes I remember that I actually compete, I've got competitive goals, and I get all giddy about it. I'm like, this is fucking sick. I'm excited to go on stage again. But 99% of the time, I'm not thinking about, my motivation isn't, oh, I need to get big legs on stage, so that's why I'm doing this leg session, that's why I'm pushing myself here. Is it fuck, it's a byproduct. Competing is a byproduct of what I enjoy doing on a daily basis. And that's getting really, really strong, having at it with my training, pushing myself into uncomfortable positions and growing, not just physically, but mentally as well. And then the bodybuilding stage comes as a reflection of that, and you see how much you've grown. That's the beauty of it. The beauty of it. It's not about simply getting some cool stage photos or everyone look at me, I'm a bodybuilder, I'm cool. Not at all, because I feel like bodybuilding, it used to be a little bit more of a weird thing, kind of before my time in a sense. If you're a bodybuilder, you stood up on stage, because realistically it is a little bit weird, isn't it? Now when you think about it, oily men up on stage and getting compared next to each other to see who looks like the best oily man on stage. You know, bodybuilding used to be a little bit of a strange thing. If you're a bodybuilder, you're a little bit weird, whereas now it's a lot more socially accepted and it's a cool thing to do. So make sure that you're not just doing it because it's the cool thing to do. You know, make sure you're doing it because you have a genuine love and passion for the sport and moving yourself forwards. Next one, and this is where a lot of people can struggle. Do you have a healthy enough relationship with foods, and can you hack not having an off-plan meal for 6 months at a time? If you look at a natural bodybuilding prep, and that's where I'm coming from with this video, you know, natural physique coaching myself, I don't really dabble in any of the performance enhancing drugs and assisted preps. You know, I can still help out people who are on low dosages, who run TRT, who just enjoy training and want to move forwards, but I don't ever do any assisted bodybuilding preps. So with natural bodybuilding prep, you're looking at anywhere in the realms of 20 to 30 weeks, realistically. Myself, my prep was 33 weeks, a little bit on the longer side. I've had myself and clients on stage sub 20 weeks and still be in condition, but you're somewhere around that range. Can you happily go that amount of time without having an off-plan meal? Is your life so revolved around foods? And if you suddenly take that away, is that going to massively affect your mental state? So that's a big part of it. And people feel like with bodybuilding nowadays, it's so focused around that foods. You know, like everyone's posting videos of them munching donuts and their Krispy Kremes after their show, and they're smacking them all together and eating them, and that's getting loads of views and millions of likes. And bodybuilders in prep, their search page on Instagram is just loads of foods. Like if you're sat watching eating challenges and shit within a bodybuilding prep and pretty much torturing yourself, it's not a good position to be in, because the post-prep period's fucked. You need to make sure that you are mature enough to be able to handle your post-prep phase well. Again, if you have not went through a difficult diet before, if you've not went through much difficulty in your life before, you may need to try put yourself through something a little bit more challenging before diving straight into a bodybuilding prep. As I say, it's not the hardest thing in the world. You're realistically just training, eating, doing your usual stuff, but eating a little bit less food and getting leaner. The hard part comes when it's post-prep. You know, I'm saying the hard part is obviously hard throughout prep, but you have a goal. You're set on it within prep. These are my shows, this is what I need to do. I need to stay locked in until then. When that comes around, when you're a little bit lost, what do you do? Are you mature enough to still stick to the plan, to understand that what's good for you is what you should actually be doing? Or do you just emotionally eat, oh fuck, I just want to eat this and that. I don't have that consistency and that structure that you usually would do. And this is when it comes back to, do you actually enjoy the process? If you're just doing it because you want to get big muscles and fucking look good, you're not going to stick to it post-prep. You're probably going to become one of these people on Instagram who are, oh, bodybuilding ruined my life. I hate when people do that. I hate all these videos of bodybuilding gave me an eating disorder, bodybuilding ruined my life, bodybuilding this and that. No, it didn't. You just weren't mature enough for it. You know, like, again, as I say, it's not that difficult when you look at things from a broader view. There's things in life that are way more challenging. You've just went into it with an immature mindset and allowed yourself to be overly food focused, not handled your post-prep phase well, and you've binged, became fat again, your hormones are all over the place, your testosterone's not coming back because you're not doing it in a controlled and good manner. So therefore you feel like shit, your emotions are all over the place, you're fat again, and that's where the issue comes about. You know, it's not bodybuilding that fucked you up, it's you, it's your immature mindset. So make sure that you have been through difficult diets, make sure that you have tested yourself, you've challenged yourself, and you've had a post-diet phase where you've handled it well and you've not just went and ate whatever you want. You know, when you're young, you probably have done that before, you've had a diet and you're just like, oh fuck it, and you're just munch Dominoes and do everything left, right and center. Make sure that you've had experience with controlling that and that you're mature enough to do it. I see it so much. It's not even with younger guys. You know, I do see it happen with younger guys, but people, full grown men and women, you know, that are allowing themselves to be like, oh fuck it, I'm just gonna eat whatever I want. And they cook themselves. So make sure, again, you have that enjoyment for the process so that when prep's not there, when the stage isn't there, that you still do the same thing, you still move forwards and you still look after yourself. So that's honestly one of my biggest things, foods and your relationship around that, with that, making sure you can still keep that healthy, making sure that you're still looking after making sure that you're still enjoying nice meals without going crazy high on the food volume and not having to get overly food focused. Still enjoying your meals, but not getting too fixated on that within prep. It's one of the hardest things, but just making sure you're mature enough to actually deal with that. Next, fatigue, low energy, and overall drive. You're not going to have a huge amount of energy and amount of drive some days within prep. You're going to feel like ass, but do you still turn up to the gym and have at it? Of course you do. You know, that's what you need to have. You need to have that fucking dog mentality. Not allowing yourself to play victim, not allowing yourself to get down, and not allowing yourself just to be negative. you know, working on these things. And as I say, going through something difficult in life beforehand, pushing yourself, doing hard shit, allows you to build up that resilience. If this is your first time doing that, and realistically for myself, it was my first real exposure to that. And I think that is one of the biggest benefits of prep. It teaches you true hard work. I was speaking to one of my clients, Callum, about this. I don't know if I'm ready. Like, mate, your physique's great. You've proven yourself that you work hard really well over the past 12, 16 weeks we've been working together. There's, yes, definitely things we can improve upon, but if you go through a prep, I guarantee that your life outside of that, as long as you manage that post-show phase well, your life will improve tenfold, because you understand what true hard work is like and you apply that into everything else in your life. So it's dealing with that low energy, dealing with that fatigue, expecting that. You know, I would go to the gym and I'm driving there, not that I'm falling asleep, but I'm like, holy shit. Sometimes this is the last thing that I want to do because I feel awful, I feel super draggy. My knees are seizing up when I'm going for a walk because there's that little body fat and stability around them, and I'm out to go and train legs. You know, it's the last thing that I want to do right now. But as soon as I step in that gym, it's game on. You know, like, I'm as powerful as I've ever been. I'm telling myself I'm fucking peak off season, I'm getting ready for this shit. You know, you need to have that mentality and understanding that that is part of prep. Not allowing yourself to be moody, to be negative, to be meh, because you're just going to have a miserable time during prep. So dealing with that low energy, understanding that that's part of it, and not every single check into your coach being, oh, I'm low on energy, I don't feel good, all my sessions were shit because I just didn't really feel like doing them. If you didn't really feel like doing them, you still get in, you still crack on. Again, a lot of people are too emotional. People get too high, too low with their emotions. Like, when it's good, it's really, really fucking good. When it's low, and they're really, really fucking low. You know, and they end up, oh, I hate the process, I don't like this and that, and they get so in their own head, and then again, that's when they're overeating or whatever it may be. You need to be a level-headed person. You need to understand that that's such a vital part of prep. If you allow yourself to get too low, falls apart. When the highs are so high, when lows get low again, you're like, holy shit, what do I do now? And you get in your head so much. So being able to keep yourself level-headed, being able to work through difficulty, and being able to make sure you can handle that fatigue and low energy when it comes around. I've touched upon it a few times in the recent points, but hormones. Your hormones are going to get worse throughout prep as a natural bodybuilder. It's inevitable. How bad they get depends on the person, depends on the length of the prep, depends on who has managed it. So if you have a coach who's managing your prep, who's making you lose a lot of weight, I say anything more than 15% worth of your body weight isn't ideal. Anything more than 20%, really avoid that. If you're pulling off so much weight within the one singular diet and getting into stage condition, your hormones are going to crash. The healthy range for testosterone, I believe, is 7 to 8 nanomos to 27 nanomos. So that's the range that you want to be in. I know people who have got to 1 to 2 nanomos, which is really not good. And that's just what happens with a natural bodybuilding prep sometimes. No matter what you do, no matter how much you feed back up, no matter how much you manage your expenditure, no matter how much you pull cardio, keep your food as high as possible, being that lean, again, your body does not want to be there. Understanding that post-prep, that's going to take a good 6 months to come back. So it's not just all right, 6 months prep, that's the hard part. As I mentioned before, I'd say the post-prep period is harder. It tests you more because your testosterone is very low, it's been cut, and then you've not got the motivation of the show. Probably not going to compete. If you are competing again for another 2 years to 3 years as a natural bodybuilder, you need time to grow again. So you don't have that same motivation, that same drive. Expect that to happen. And it's a very lengthy process. You need to be extremely patient. And that's a big attribute of a natural bodybuilder, that patience, understanding that you're not going to get everything straight back like this. You're not going to get the progress like this. Some enhanced guys, you'll see like a year transformation from when they prepped to now. It's like, what the fuck is that? You know, you see they've gained 30 pounds and it barely looks like they've changed in composition. We don't have that luxury. You know, we can still build a lot of muscle and still move forwards a lot, but patience and making sure that you can deal with your hormones being a little bit out of whack for some time after it, and understanding that that comes with it. It's not just going to be, again, a lock-in for 5-6 months and that's me. You really need to stay on the ball with things, because if you don't manage that post-prep phase well, your hormones are not going to come back for a long, long time. You need to make sure that you're on top of everything so that they come back as quickly as possible. Another one that the people don't take into account is finances. How much does it actually cost to compete in bodybuilding? Bodybuilding, it's not an expensive sport massively, because some of the stuff that you would spend on it is just a given. You know, foods, you're going to eat food anyway. It is a little bit more expensive to get more protein and to eat good, clean food sources, but not taking into account just the basic expenses of bodybuilding, which can be expensive. You know, your foods, your gym membership, possibly a coach as well. You know, those are all going to come to a decent amount of money per month. Supplements as well. But then taking into account what it costs to actually compete in bodybuilding. So that is travel for your shows, accommodation for your shows, membership fee for the federation for the shows, the TAN, the class entry, media packages, if you do compete and you want to get some cool photos of it, there's a lot of expenses that go with that. So per show, you know, you're usually looking somewhere around £75 for the membership, £75 for the class entry, £75 for the tanning. I'd account that as roughly what you're looking at per show. Travel, it depends where you stay, it depends where you're competing. So for myself, the downside of living in Scotland is having to travel down to most of the shows. So I'd either have to drive or get a flight. So you're looking at whether that's in fuel or whether that's in just a flight, another £75 to £100. So that's us up to £300 so far. Accommodation for the whole weekend. You ideally want to get there on the Friday or the Saturday and then stay until the Monday. You're looking at, again, if you're sharing an Airbnb with some people, you're looking at anywhere between £100 to £200. So there you are £400 to £500 for each show. And that's probably on the cheaper side, which is crazy. So let's say £500 per show. If you're competing in 4 to 5 shows each season, that could be £2,000 to £3,000. That's not even taking into account any abroad shows. You know, if you're wanting to go to a higher level with this and you want to compete in Europe, if you want to compete in America, I think Vegas set me back £3,000 to £4,000 to get the flights over there, accommodation, all the entries for the shows, everything like that. I was somewhere in the realms of £3,000 for my videographer to come out and film it all with me. Again, that's a luxury, that's something on top, but you spend a lot of money. I honestly think I was probably closer to the realms of like £7,500 to £10,000 for my season in 2023. So taking into account the financial side of things, you need to make sure that you have that backing there, and obviously that comes with having to work a job throughout prep and managing that, making sure that you're not cooking yourself by working too much, but you're also not neglecting the financial side of things by just being like, oh, I can't work because I'm too fatigued. You need to find that middle ground there. So financial side of things is something that's overlooked massively, and it is an expensive sport when it comes to the competitive season, so making sure that you do have that backing there. That mainly wraps up like my points of, are you ready for it, are you cut out for it, and where do you need to be at. But I do want to cover some of the positives as well, you know, because I don't want this to be like an overly negative video of you're not ready, you're not ready, you're not ready. I want to put out there what's realistic, what you need to have in place, the foundations that you need to have set before going into a prep. But I also want to put across how beneficial it can be. I'd mentioned that earlier in the video there about how much it teaches you, the hard work, all that does for everything outside of bodybuilding. I would not be in the position I am right now if I didn't take the leap to do a bodybuilding prep. Because I knew that I enjoyed the gym. I knew that I wanted to do something along the lines, you know, career-wise with training. If I didn't just send myself into that bodybuilding prep, I wouldn't have seen how hard I can work. I wouldn't have understood what it takes to actually get what you want. It's crazy, you know, money can buy you cool cars, money can buy you a nice house. Money cannot buy you a very, very, very good physique and, you know, push yourself that hard. You need to do that. That comes from yourself. So no matter what, whether you come out of that with the first place, with the fifth place, if you know that you've worked as hard as possible and got yourself into that spot, that's something that you can be proud of, and it's something that money cannot buy. You know, it's not something that you can just, all right, my business is really successful, I'm just going to get that, I'm going to buy that. It's something that needs to come from within, and that's an extremely, extremely satisfying thing, something that's really, really cool. And I think someone that goes to the gym that really enjoys that should at least do once in their life. You know, even if you again come away with a result that you didn't want, if you know that you've given everything into that, it's such an immense feeling coming out of it. So yeah, like it's a very, very cool process and a very cool thing to do, but I do want to put out there what it takes, because a lot of people feel like they can just go into it straight away. You know, the motivation's high when you start a new sport, when you play a new video game, when you see something that you really like and you're really enjoying it, it can be easy to just be like, fuck it, I just want to full send this, I want to do everything here. But bodybuilding, you need time. You know, you don't go into playing some golf and think, fuck it, I'm going to enter a high-level golf tournament when you've only been playing it for a few months. You need to spend years and years and years doing that shit before you can get to a high level. Bodybuilding's the same. If you want to go on stage and if you want to look respectable, if you want to be able to place well and not get upset by maybe not coming in that top 5 and being in the second call out, you maybe need to spend a little bit more time away from the stage, build more muscle, and really building up those foundations. So yeah, I'm trying not to be overly negative, because that's not what I want from this video. I'm just trying to be realistic, as I say. But that covers everything, I believe. Thank you all for watching. If you do have any questions about your current situation, if you're not sure if you have enough muscle, if you're not sure what your shape's like, what class you should be going into, so on and so forth, whether you should have more time outside of just, again, competing within a prep or diet, please do message me on Instagram. It's the same handle. If anyone's watching on here that doesn't follow me on Instagram, that you'll see on here, I believe as Josh Natural Physique on YouTube, you'll be able to message me over there. I can give you my opinion on your situation. what my thoughts are. Obviously, again, it's going to be pretty brutally honest. If I don't think you should be prepping, then I'll let you know. If I think you're in a great position, then I'll let you know as well. So if you do want some help and a little bit of guidance on that side of things, please feel free to message me. But that wraps up the video. So thank you all for watching. Please do like, subscribe, all of that shit. Even if you have any basic questions, just ask them in the comment section. I'll see if I can get back to you as soon as possible. But that's all. Like, subscribe, share in the stories as always. If you can, I do massively appreciate that. And I'll see you in the next video. See ya.